everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fake Philosophers. Today, you got me, Mike, and you got Danny over here.
Hi, I'm in space.
If you're watching and not listening, he has a fun Zoom background. All right. Is it better than what you would have had without it?
Probably. It's just I think hats on a wall behind me. So
Ah, cool. All right. Uh, yeah. So, a few topical things today we're going to talk about. A few. Um, Starting off with something in our group chat I talked about. I still don't believe this happened, but it did. I managed to scam a scammer on Instagram. So I
all right.
might
So
actually, yeah.
I'm just gonna say like I want like the full story because like reading it in text messages like there were details that were missing.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
I definitely
like
gave just the summary.
yeah. So like I have questions. I have a lot of questions. So go ahead, tell the story, and then I'm
Yeah,
gonna
so
ask
I
the
like I
questions.
said, I'm still sort of like not. I'm in disbelief that it happened. You shook your headset off. Can you hear me? Oh, you're what? He's walking away while I tell the story. Got it. Full disclosure. No, so I'm gonna bring it up right now. I've since blocked the person. Um, but so to anyone, I'm sure most of you who listen, watch, whatever. If you've been on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, a lot of these people, people will create fake profiles and typically will use the photos of like a hot chick and try to add people. And I've actually looked into this and like read about this shit for years. So it's actually a hobby of mine. When a scammer messages me, I message back and I waste their time and I fuck with them. And I'm not the only one. You could find videos of people doing it online too. I don't really do it on the phone when they call because I just don't have time to do that. But when they message me, I do absolutely do it. And if Danny, I'm not sure if you've ever gotten these, so tell me if you have. There's one particular scam where they'll message you, and I'll read the opening message. So this one's name was Letal Oh Lovely, and the the profile is filled with like photos of this very attractive black chick, and then also photos of like apparently people she's helped who's won money, and obviously they're fucking fake.
Mhm.
So she opened up with, "Hey, I'm an official cash promoter agent. I'm also certified insured by the World Financial Organizations. Sorry. I'm all about helping you to gaining there's obviously grammatical errors here. You to gaining yourself extra cash from the Cash App and MoneyGram Invest Cash department. If you're interested to gain some extra cash today, say how or yes." And I said, yes, if it's legit and not a scam. And then she starts going into, it's not a scam, it's 100% good, blah, blah, blah. So it's all right, let's hear it. And she asked where I'm from, and I said California, because whatever. And she breaks down this thing. Pretty much, if I give her $100, I'll get 2,000 back. If I get 2,000, I get 4,000 back. I'm sorry, if I give her 200, 4,000 back. If I give her 300, 6,000 back, et cetera, et cetera. It goes to $900 where I'd get 18,000 back. And so, I'm not going to read the entire conversation because then it'll get boring. Pretty much what I started to do, knowing that this is bullshit. Obviously, it's bullshit. I said, check it out. If we can establish some trust, I am more than willing to give you $900 plus more, thousands of dollars to invest if we could develop some trust. And I was like, so I'll give you $10 if you give me 100. And I've actually used this strategy before when they've like other people like scammers have messaged me and nobody's ever gone for it. So that they're like, sorry, the $10 deal is not listed. And I was like, yeah, I get that. But then I'm not interested. I understand you have a policy, but I'm not interested if you can't do that because I don't know you. I want to establish trust. This is a common practice. Blah 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 blah. Just bullshit I made up. And so this person was very resistant. This was Wednesday. No, sorry, Tuesday night. This person's very resistant. And I was like, check it out. Like, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. And she's like, my manager's not letting me do that. Like, it's my manager's fault. And I was like, tell your manager he's missing out on thousands of dollars because if he just shows an act of faith, good act of faith, or an act of good faith, excuse me, like you guys, I'm going to invest thousands of dollars. And so I kept saying that, and sometimes like she kept coming back to me, kind of ignoring what I said before. Like, okay, well, here are the deals. Which one do you want to do? And I was like, no, I said I want to do a $10 like trust thing, so I know you're legit. And she kept saying like, no, like we're not. If you think we're trying to rob you, like we're insulted. And I just kept saying like, look, then just I'm good. I don't need to do this. So at one point she said, "What about 50?" And I was like, "I give you $10, you give me 50?" She's like, "No, you give us 50 and we'll give you something." I was like, "No, it's $10 for 100." But I was like, "But I'll do $10 for $50 if you want to do that." And then so she just kind of stopped messaging me. And then Wednesday morning messaged me out of nowhere saying like, "So 50 or so are you ready?" And I was like, let me find that part real quick. So in the morning she said, "We agreed hold on. Sorry. Sorry, I'm like trying to find it. So she messaged me in the morning. "Good morning. How about making some money today?" And I said, as soon as your manager wants to establish credibility, I'm game. And she said, "Okay, love, provide me with your cash tag so I can get it registered on the system to get you started." And to those who don't understand Cash App is super low risk because like they can't find anything out. It's literally handing cash. There's no refunds. There's no complaining. It's literally like handing cash over and the person walks away. So I gave my Cash App name. This is my Cash App.
Let me just stop you there. I don't have anything to say. I just want you to stop talking.
That's fine.
No, so this is one of my questions. So like I wanted to make sure because you're my boy. You're like 100% safe, right? Like there's no way they can steal any information or have access to your money through this transfer.
No. So to my knowledge, because what it's actually happened to me on Cash App before, I was sending my buddy $50. He just needed some help. Sent him $50. I misspelt his fucking name and sent it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "I didn't get it, bro. What the hell?" And I screenshotted the confirmation. He's like, "Dude, you fucking didn't spell my name correctly." It's like, shit. So to that name, I requested the $50 back. And it was denied. Mm-hmm. And there was not shit I could do about it. I clicked on the name. There's nothing I could do about it. It was gone.
Okay.
I was fucking livid. So that's literally Cash App. You send the money, and it's gone. It's like if you gave somebody on the street cash and they walked away.
Okay.
There's nothing on it. Because I know when we chatted in the chat, Eddie was like, "You need to close that account right now, delete it, whatever." To my knowledge, there's nothing that connects me to it. He can't say shit. You have to like file a lawsuit and get a lawyer involved, which make my day.
So how do you get the funds from your bank account to this Cash App?
So the bank account is linked to my profile, but they don't see shit. They don't know anything about me. Nothing based on my Cash App.
Do they know your name?
Well, now the person was friends with me on Instagram, so they knew my name was Mike.
Okay.
I actually had my last name on there too, but to be honest, I don't give a fuck. There's nothing like, so they have my first and last name, and if like, granted, I blocked the person, but even if they saw like the area I live in, they don't have my address. And what are they gonna do? This is a fucking nerd on the computer trying to steal my money. Come get me, bro. Like I'm not a tough guy. I'm not a tough guy, but like this person is not gonna come after me. Okay. Like I'm not worried about it. Anyway. So I sent her my Cash App name, and I was like, "Great, just let me know when to send the $10." And then she gives me I'll say it, B Runson 455, which was apparently named Trey Brunson. And so in my head I was like, it's $10 risk. Let's just see if this fucking works. So I sent Trey Brunson $10, and sure enough, like within an hour, I got $50 sent to me from Trey Brunson. Huh. I was just kind of like, oh my God, like that fucking worked. Because I was driving to work, so I was like, there's no fucking way this person just sent me $50. And so sure enough, they did. I immediately transferred it to my bank account. And so at first, like, because I liked fucking with these people, the night before, she had randomly asked me, like, "Where's your wife?" Just because it's kind of weird. Like, they just ask. I've dealt with people like they just ask these questions.
That's a very weird question to ask.
No, I think part of it is because they always have photos of beautiful women. So part of it is, I think if you say, "Where's your wife?" I could have said, "I'm not married." You're not married. You're so sweet. It's that shit. They try to get to you.
Yeah, try to milk you a little bit.
So I think what I said was, "She's asleep already. Why are you interested?" I'm fucking with him. And she kind of backed off it. But anyway, so after that, after I took the money and deposited it, she's like, okay, so when will you be ready to send us more money since we now have established trust? And I was like, I'm so sorry, I'm busy right now. Like, my wife just called me and said she was leaving me. and, and yeah, and and so
Oh
they kind of have to,
no.
they still have to like play this role, like this role of they care. So
Yeah.
she was like, "Oh my god, that's so sad." I was like, "Yeah." She just said that like she knew I was up late talking to some chick on Instagram,
Oh no.
and and so it was funny. So she was like, "Oh, that's so awful." Like, just and I was like, "I'm devastated. Like, I can't even work." And she's like, "Okay, well, like, just let me know when you're ready to transfer the money over." And I was like, "I can't even think about money." I'm paraphrasing now. I can't even think about it. Like,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And then eventually, I just blocked her. um,
Wow.
but
You're a monster.
it just made me laugh, like, because I've tried that on scammers before, and it's never worked. Because fuck, why
So,
would they even try?
so in this instance, because it worked, you know what that makes you, right?
Hmm.
That makes you the fucking scammer, dude.
Yeah, that's fine, and I accept that. I I am against scamming unless the person deserves it. So this motherfucker, I almost wanted to say like, hey, by the way, fuck you.
Uh-huh.
This is what I did on purpose. Go fuck yourself. You're a horrible, miserable person.
Hmm.
Only people less than you are pedophiles. Um, because that's my honest opinion about these motherfuckers.
No, I totally get it because so what's weird is that they targeted you for this transfer. Usually they're hitting up like retirees, widows, uh, like people
Yeah,
that don't understand technology. But to get like I don't want I don't want this to come off like super negative. A
yeah. I was like,
middle
wait a
aged
second.
a middle aged white man. Um,
Lower middle aged. Um,
no, you're 35 now. You're in that bracket.
I guess no. So what I think they do, I think in the back in the day, you're correct when it was all like email. What I think they do on Instagram, because I know friends who have fallen for these scams where all of a sudden like their Instagram gets hacked and their Instagram accounts like messaging all their friends saying like, hey man, can you do this and that? I think these people, they create an account and then all the recommendations where it's like you might know this person. I think they just add everyone,
Hmm.
and then if you accept the ad, they'll message you.
Yeah.
Because this person did follow me, and it's like, do you want to follow back? And immediately I knew this person was a scammer based on the name, based on their profile, and I was like,
Yeah.
game on. I do it all the time. I accept all those, and it's game on
Yeah.
every time. And this person gave me money.
I mean, so I think like what had happened was is like they were making a bet on you. Like,
Oh yeah,
okay, so and that's why it was so low. Like, we're cool with spending $50 to see if this works out or not. Just like you were saying, I'm cool with spending $10 to see if this works out or not. Obviously, they probably have a better financial situation than you, being
probably just a little bit.
professional scammers. So yeah, I'm sure they were like $50. That's nothing to us. Just like $10 is nothing to you. So
I I I want to agree with you, but at the back of my head, I also think because the woman, I talked to that woman after they gave me the money for at least 6 to 7 hours consistently. So
Jesus.
I no, I was like doing stuff. It wasn't like I was just sitting on my computer talking to her. I was doing stuff
Okay.
and responding. But I think it was more of like, okay, we did this because we thought this guy's gonna pay up.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they were like obviously betting on it, but like
No, yeah,
they thought it was gonna happen.
yeah.
And so even though it was just, so I guess a total of like, well, they lost $50. Just that
Mm-hmm.
small little jab. I was like, good. And so that's my strategy now. Every time someone messages me, I'm just gonna be like, establish
Yeah.
trust.
So I was targeted for a scam. I got an email from somebody saying they were the CEO of my uh, of my job. I work for a private school, and I get an email from the CEO using his name saying, "Hey, I was thinking about doing something fun and rewarding for our teachers. Can you help me out?" That's it. That was the email. And I was like, who the hell is this guy? And
Now,
so I
was it
googled the
actually
name.
using the real name of the
Yeah,
CEO?
they were using the real name of our CEO. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I like Googled who it was, and sure enough, I looked it up. Okay, that's the name of our CEO. All right, maybe it's our CEO. And I'm like, so always in the back of my head, I'm just like, there's no reason this guy would email me. There's absolutely no reason this guy would reach out to communicate with me directly.
Sure.
None whatsoever. Um, I'm just a teacher. Like
Mm-hmm.
he would go through corporate would then go through regional would then go through me. Um, so I email him, hey, yeah, what do you need exactly? And he's like, here's what I need from you. I need you to go to this store and buy gift cards. And as soon as I saw gift cards, I was like, fucking scam. So
Yeah.
I forward the email conversation to my boss, uh my campus, I don't know what her
Your
title is.
supervisor, the principal,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
she's not the principal. She's her official title is HEPS, which is like I don't even fucking know. But yeah, my boss. So I forward the email to my boss, and she's like, "Let me run this through IT, see what they think." And IT gets it. It's like, "No, dude, that's a phishing email. They're like, he probably sent this mass to everybody that has like connections to our company." So I was like, "Okay, cool. All right, thanks for letting me know." Um, but yeah, it was just like the way they like researched, like they got the name of my CEO, like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the one telltale sign was they weren't using his email, and that's the one thing that kind of clued me into it. It's like that's not my CEO's email,
Sure.
because it was like his name at like live.com, and it's like if he was sending an
Yeah.
email to somebody who works with he like that works for him, he would be using his corporate email,
Sure.
which isn't his name at live.com.
So I
But it's
got an
like
email. Yeah, I didn't even like it. Obviously, probably fooled some people, but it was like I'm paraphrasing. I don't feel like going to look it up because I always just delete them. It was like your Amazon payment
yeah,
didn't go through.
yeah, so I get them from
I get
Netflix.
them
I
all the
get them
time.
from Netflix, from PayPal, from
Yeah,
Apple.
because it's just funny because if you like just go to the because it says like Amazon services, but if you just highlight it to look at the actual email address, it's like
Mhm.
gibberish.
Yeah, it's
I think
absolute gibberish.
they're just hoping that you don't look at it and click on something.
Yeah, yeah, and you can always tell because like especially on like the iPhones, like you can see the email. It's like okay, it says Netflix, but right in front of Netflix, there's like a weird character, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like no, that's not how Netflix's emails
Yeah.
work.
One of my favorites, and they actually got me at first. We didn't lose any money, thank God. But like, I remember years ago, I might have told this story to you privately. I'm not sure if we've talked about it on the podcast, but this is when I was bartending still. It was like Friday night at like 6:30, and someone called the bar and they were like, "Hey, this is the electric company. You're behind on your bill, and if we don't get payment right now over the phone, we're gonna shut your electricity off." And I was like,
Do it.
"No, I didn't know at the time. I was
Yeah,
very informed and educated on like online scams. I had
yeah.
never heard this before. So I was like, "Can I get a callback number?" And she's like, "Yeah." And she gave me the number, and I immediately called my dad, and I was like, "Yo, why the fuck haven't you paid the electric bill? Like, dude, they're about to turn our power off. What the fuck?" And he was just like, "Mike, you think they're because what he said was what the person on the phone said is our technician's on the way to turn your power off."
Hmm.
And so he was like, "Mike, it's Edison. Are they sending someone out to turn the power off, or do they have a fucking switch to turn it off from their office? Why would they send someone out?" And I was like, "Oh, oh." And then it clicked, and I was like, "Oh, fuck me." Um, I was like, "Okay." But that one, like, I just didn't. I wasn't educated on. I didn't realize. I think it was just a
Yeah,
panic attack because I was like, "Oh, this is Friday
yeah,
night. This can't happen."
yeah,
Um, and then when she called back, I pretty much told her to fuck herself.
yeah.
Um, but so that I actually know someone, a local bar in the area that actually fell for that, and they lost like $5,000.
Whoo.
Mm-hmm. So
Wasn't Toby
that's
Keith, was it?
no, I wouldn't have cared if it was them. No, it was another bar that I actually like. Not the mafia themed bar, not that one, but another bar in the area.
Mm.
Yeah. So anyway, just knowing what I know about scams, I've researched it, I've looked into it, I've wasted many scammers' times. I found it fascinating that I actually managed to scam a scammer.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
at the end of the day, you did get money from them, but again, they were okay with losing that money if they were
They
going to.
didn't learn a lesson.
I wouldn't
I
call that
get it.
necessarily a scam, but
I
hey,
just
you pulled one over on them.
that's what I think. That's what I mean. Like I was just surprised that they actually did the money. Like did the money. They actually like did it. Like you know what I mean? I was just
Oh
kind of like
yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to explain. Like I didn't believe it
yeah.
that I got money from a scammer. It just I was like fuck. All right. Anyway, that was my braggable moment of the week, I guess.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad you were able to outsmart somebody who probably doesn't speak English fluently.
No, definitely not by the grammar. But yeah. So topical shit. Let's talk about some topical shit.
Yeah, what's topical?
What do you what's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? What do you got?
Um, so I mean, there's a number of things we can talk about. Elon buying Twitter. We can talk about the shit maelstrom that is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Let's talk about that.
Uh,
Then we'll get to Twitter. But let's talk about Depp and Heard.
okay. Are you familiar at all with what's going on?
I know they're in trial for
Hmm.
is it a defamation lawsuit, right?
Defamation lawsuit. Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
did she file it or who's the plaintiff?
no,
Who's the
no,
defense?
no. Johnny is the plaintiff,
Okay.
so he's the one that has the complaint. Amber Heard is defending. So pretty much, I want to say like in 20, I think it was 2015 or 2016, Amber Heard wrote an op-ed um, that essentially she didn't name names, um, but she made references to Johnny Depp
Mm-hmm.
without saying his name, that ultimately called him a wife beater, citing physical abuse. Um, Johnny Depp is suing her because it was because of that op-ed he lost out on the next Pirates movie. Disney said, "Hey, we're a family company. We can't have an accused wife beater starring in one of our movies."
Okay. I
Um,
vaguely recall
and
that now.
and since then, he so he voluntarily left Fantastic Beasts. He wasn't cut from that. He said, "Hey, I can't do this right now. I got to walk away to deal with this."
Sure.
Um, I mean, because of Amber Heard, he kind of lost out on the Fantastic Beasts franchise as well. Um, Even though he wasn't cut from it, he just walked away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So the main thing I want to kind of talk about with this case is just from all of the testimony we've heard so far, and we've heard a lot from pretty much just Johnny Depp witnesses. We haven't heard that much, if anything at all, from Amber Heard's side. Um, However, her lawyers are not making this case easy for her. Her
Not at all.
lawyers are, I amateur doesn't seem quite the word to sum it up. Um, Novice. They're very,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're. It's like, and somebody made this argument. It's like she bought her legal team off of Wish.com. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it just doesn't quite fit, you know. Um,
Yeah. So I watched some of the because I haven't been following it that closely, but I watched some of the highlights of like Johnny Depp being funny on the stand and shit. But there was a clip, and obviously to a point, you roll your eyes at all lawyers because no matter what you say, they object and all this shit, and I get that.
oh yeah.
But the one clip where I was like, "What the fuck?" was when, and I don't know who the person was,
It
but
was
her,
one of it was one of her lawyers. I think his name is Rottenborn.
well, yeah, it was one of her lawyers, but the witness,
Yeah.
I don't know who the witness was, where he asked a question, and the witness started answering, and then he said, "Objection, hearsay,"
He
and
objected to his own question.
the witness was like, "You asked me the question," and even the lawyer like started shuffling with his papers, and it was like,
No,
"What?"
like literally, like even the judge was like, it was your question. Like the judge even was just
Yeah.
like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? And you see immediately Johnny Depp look at his lawyer and they both just bust up laughing. Like this
Yeah.
is a fucking circus.
And even like
Uh
it was, I don't know what it was referring to directly, but there was a meme where it was like joking about how like here's her lawyers providing evidence against her, pretty much.
yeah, no, it's exactly what they're
It
doing.
was just
And what's really funny is like her like main her lead counsel, which is this Rottenborn guy, which great name for a lawyer. Um,
yeah.
um, doesn't like ask questions. Like he'll read a piece of evidence, an exhibit, and then the only question he'll ask Johnny Depp about it was, "Did I read that right?
Oh, I saw that.
Did I read that right?" And he asked him like 15 times, and Johnny Depp was just like, "Yes, you continue to read it right. We all know you can read, sir. Like,
I saw that clip.
make a point. Like, yes, I've said these things. This doesn't prove any point that you are trying to make, sir."
Mm-hmm.
And then like, so what my summation of this whole defamation suit is I think Johnny has a legitimate case of defamation. Um, I think what's difficult, especially for Amber Heard, is that she has to prove physical abuse, whether or not
Mm-hmm.
it actually happened. She has to prove it. That is their job as the defendant. They have to defend. They have to provide proof that she was physically abused because that was her claim. You have to back up your claim. Um, Unfortunately, it's been 6 or 7 years since this abuse allegedly took place. So there is very little to no proof. And what proof they had has been debunked.
Mm-hmm.
As she's an actress with access to makeup artists, and that is what she's doing here. She's getting makeup put on to make it look like she's been abused.
Yeah. When
Um,
yeah.
and so, they said that, and she was like, no, 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 no. The only time she ever wore makeup was to cover up the bruising and the swelling. And they were like, okay, this like we've had police come to the apartment immediately after you claimed I beat you. They would see stuff, right? She was like, yeah, they would have seen stuff. So they got the cops to come in and do a video testimony. And both cops that showed up to the scene said they saw no evidence of physical abuse.
Mm-hmm.
So then their defense was, well, we put arnica cream on it. Arnica cream is supposed to reduce swelling and essentially expedite the healing process. However, it's not a miracle cream that you can just put on and everything goes away within minutes or
Yeah.
hours, even. Uh, like people use arnica on like severe bruising, like the kind you would get from physical violence, and
It
it's
would take a
still
day or two. It's not.
it still takes like
I'd
weeks.
say even longer. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so they I think her legal team said, okay, we're not going to get him on the physical abuse. So what we have to now try to do is prove that he's some kind of monster. Because if
Mm-hmm.
people think he's a monster, they'll say, oh, okay, yeah, it's likely that he physically abused her. And so they've been going after him on his substance abuse, his alcoholism, and his drug habits. To which he said he's fine talking about it because he knows that being an addict doesn't necessarily make you an abuser,
Yeah.
violent. And so he's been open about yeah, I use drugs, I use I recreationally use marijuana, I've used cocaine, I drink, um, and so like it's just her legal team is starting to drown, and they're just trying to grasp at anything that'll give them a leg up
And I
out of the
think
water.
that's I'm not a legal expert obviously, but I think when that happens, it's a tell sign that they have nothing.
Oh yeah, it's yeah, every
Yeah.
like his whole legal team, and you can tell by the way Johnny is handling himself in court. He feels a little bit liberated to be a little sassy with the questions that he gets. He
Sure.
chuckles. He's all smiles in the courtroom because he knows his legal team knows. We all kind of know this is going to go nowhere. Amber Heard
Mm-hmm.
is going to lose this case. But
Because
the
the attitude too, like you said, if it's like, oh yeah, well at the time you were doing cocaine, he was like, yeah, Like,
Well, and he
it's
even
just
like
yeah.
so one of the exhibits they used was a picture, all right, of like a breakfast table, and on
Right.
this table there was like a bottle of whiskey, a Keith Richards like burned Keith Richards album like on a CD, um, like a couple of like oh shit,
Is your mic
can
phone?
you hear me? Yeah,
Yeah.
my mic fell. Because I talk with my hands. On this table, yeah, there was a couple of Johnny Depp's possessions. What looked like an ornate box that looked like something from Pirates of the Caribbean, and they were saying there was cocaine in that box, wasn't there? And Johnny Depp was like, I mean, it looks like that box could hold cocaine,
Yeah.
uh, but I don't think there was any cocaine in it. And then like the lawyer points out, okay, that the album there, the Keith Richards album. Do you see that? Do you see where it's placed? And he's like, yes, I see it's perfectly placed, hinting that somebody placed it there to take the picture.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of this like Amber Heard trying to like entrap Johnny Depp in these situations to prove that he's some kind of monster, and
Yeah.
ultimately, you're not proving that he physically abused you in any way,
Yeah.
whether
And
he did or didn't.
that's fair point because he could have, but you don't have anything. And I do love there was a clip. It said when Amber Heard realized like there's a moment where she knew she had to be sad again, and she was
Mhm,
like talking to her lawyer, kind of if you're watching audience, like she was kind of talking to
mhm.
her lawyer, just like nodding, even like smiling, kind of.
Yeah,
And then when she's as soon as she stood back, like sat back, immediately back to the frown, and it was
yeah.
like, all right,
She's
you're
done this a couple times, where
mm-hmm,
she'll be listening to testimony. Um, and what's weird is, and I've seen like a behavioral scientist kind of look at this, and like a mentalist kind of look at this, like her testimony, Johnny's testimony, and he said like both are being kind of deceptive. However, Johnny is not being deceptive towards the questions he's being asked. He's being deceptive in terms of like not giving every detail. So he's like he'll
mm-hmm,
answer the questions, but he's not going to give every detail to the questions. But when he's talking about Amber Heard, he's like looking at the facial twitches, the body language, and like he'll notice like when Johnny was testifying, she was the only person like she would look directly at Johnny. When anybody else testified, her eyes would be darting all around. She'll lock eyes with them for a second and then immediately look away, which
mm-hmm.
is a telltale sign of shame. But not Johnny. When Johnny was testifying, she was looking dead at him.
Interesting.
And then there was that moment where he was testifying. She was looking at him. She looked away at one of her lawyers, gave that little, and then immediately went back to, hmm,
Yeah.
and covered her mouth because she realized she smiled at something.
Well, she's an actress. I mean, she's
Well,
acting.
that's the thing. That's what makes this case so complex. Both plaintiff and defendant are actors.
Actress. Yeah.
So it's going to be it's really hard for a behaviorist or a mentalist to look at them and be like, okay, I have to really really kind of focus on micro expressions and
Mm-hmm.
body language to see if they're lying or not.
Sure.
Because I mean Johnny's not a method actor, but he's as borderline method as you can get
Mm-hmm.
without being a method actor. So it's especially for that kind of actor, it's really hard to gauge because the whole point of a method actor is to sink into a role and to
Yeah.
lose yourself into a role. And if he's playing a role right now that is the victim, it'll be really easy for somebody with that caliber of acting to do that.
Yeah, and I will say even though he's technically right now the victim, but he's really not playing the victim. And I think that's
No, he
working
isn't.
for him. That's working for
Yeah.
him.
No, he's because I mean, if we're going to be honest, this relationship was made up of mutual abuse, verbal, physical, psychological, emotional, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I would say both are victims. However, this Johnny knows that he's not the one on trial here. He's not the one
Yeah.
that needs to defend himself. So he's not playing the victim card. He is literally just getting up there and relating his experiences with Amber
Yeah.
Heard.
And I think again, I don't follow it, probably not nearly as closely as you do, but I did watch a clip where I think it was Depp's lawyers played a clip. If it was a phone call or he recorded it to where he kind of says like, "I'm gonna tell people that you abused me" to Amber Heard, and then she goes on a tirade like, you're gonna say that a woman abused you, like go ahead and do that, Johnny. No one's gonna fucking believe you, And I was kind of like, oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Like there it is.
that's
Done.
it. Yeah.
Done.
However, I mean, in a defamation suit, that doesn't really,
Yeah, to me, it just
prove
shows.
defamation, but it shows that Amber is overly confident. It shows that she is manipulative. It shows that she is just as much of a monster as she claims Johnny Depp is.
And that's my kind of point, though, because if I punched my lady in the mouth and she recorded audio and she's like, "I'm gonna call the police on you," and I started saying, "You think they're gonna believe you?" And she had that audio, like that could be argued that it's almost an admittance of guilt.
Yeah.
Because she's saying like, "No one's gonna believe you, bro. Go ahead and do it." I mean,
Yeah, and
it's kind of a stretch, but yeah.
If this were, a divorce case, where Johnny Depp was saying, "I'm divorcing you because you abused me," that would be an admission of guilt, and eventually, the case would be concluded right then and there. So,
because you're right, because it's not her saying that he didn't abuse her.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, it's not him saying he didn't abuse her. That would be the argument that she abused him, which is not what's the argument. Okay, yeah, you're right.
This case is about. Yeah,
you're right.
So I mean, it's just kind of showing it that like I'm not exactly sure why the legal team did that. I think it's just to show like if anybody was abused in this relationship physically, it was Johnny.
And I think it's just to try to show more to discredit her.
Yeah, to discredit her, and that she is manipulative and anything but the victim in this relationship.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
More of the character attack, character witness kind
of thing. It's a character attack, absolutely. But as this trial continues to go on, it's utterly more and more obvious to me that Amber went the wrong way with hiring a legal team, and that she really has no defense for a defamation case. I think in the divorce, she was going to lose out on a cash cow because let's be honest, can you name 3 Amber Heard movies that aren't Aquaman?
No.
Can you name 3 Johnny Depp movies that aren't Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's that whole thing. It's like, well, if I'm going to come out of this, I'm going to get some money, and the way to do that is to call you a wife beater. Mm-hmm. So I get some kind of restitution for that. And I think Johnny was like, "Cool, let's do it."
Yeah, let's go to battle. Yeah.
And so he's like, "Okay, I tried to sue the newspaper that ran the op-ed. Didn't work. Tried to sue the newspaper that called me a wife beater. Didn't work. Hey, let's go after the source. Let's go after the person that called me a wife beater, and let's sue her for defamation because I have lost out on jobs because of this allegation. Just the allegation. It's not proven that I'm a wife beater, but the allegation that I am a wife beater has lost me my ability to make money.
Yeah.
Using my crafter skill.
No, absolutely. And is there how long is that going for? Do we know, or is it?
What? How long has the trial been going on for?
No, I mean, like, is it still like how long is it going to go for since today? Like, how long is it planning on going for? Do you know?
It could go on indefinitely. We don't fucking know. It's until they hear all the testimony, until they decide, okay, we have enough testimony and evidence to say
this way
close this case. Yeah. Right. But yeah, it's been going on since 2015, 2016.
Like I know there's been like the conflict and all that stuff, but that's how I love the legal system, that it has been going on since like 2015 and just now is the trial. Gotta love it.
Yeah. Well, it didn't need to come to a trial until Johnny claimed defamation.
Touche.
Until he lost out on Pirates 6 or whatever it was, and when Disney said, "Hey, we're not going to hire you back," he was like, "Okay, now I have to talk to my lawyers."
Now here we go. Yeah.
Now here we go. Yeah.
But anyway, so you also mentioned Elon Musk possibly buying Twitter. I've heard that.
It's not possible. He did it.
I've heard they came to terms
Mhm.
but that it's not 100% yet. It's kind of like when you go into escrow on a house.
Yeah, that might be because
Is
I
what
mean
I
it's a huge thing to kind of you can't just do it overnight.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's my understanding because someone a podcast I listened to, he kind of talked about it, and he didn't say either way, but he said there's still a few bridges to cross before it's official.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um, so here's my takeaway. Um, I know since it was announced, a lot of more liberal, left-winged people are kind of pissed off. I mean, the loud ones. We're talking about the loud people, not the majority. Let's be clear
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
The loud left is pissed off because they think that he's just gonna let all the inmates out and everything's gonna go fucking crazy over there. And the loud right are all praising him and saying this is going to be great because now it's going to be a true thing of free speech, and Trump's going to be back on there, and all these banned conservatives are going to be back on there, and it's going to be a real beacon of free speech. And I just don't give a shit.
Like, when you say you don't give a shit, you mean you couldn't care less if all these people came back to Twitter? You couldn't care less that he
So
bought Twitter? What?
I don't care that he bought Twitter. And if I'm being perfectly frank, I I will honestly, and you know this, and I've said this before. I think Donald Trump was a horrible president. I think he uses his platforms for horrible things. Marjorie Taylor Greene, same shit. A lot of these people, but I think by banning them, it emboldens them. So I
Okay.
don't agree with. I mean, don't get me wrong. If someone's on there threatening people,
Yeah.
yes, or it's still, and there's arguments to be made to ban people for certain reasons.
Yeah.
But so this idea that if these people are suddenly let back on the platform, it's going to be a hellscape. I was just kind of like, I don't care. It
Well,
already was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it kind
It
of
still
already
is.
was.
And
It
it
still
still
is.
is. Yeah.
So let's talk about the free speech aspect real quick.
Well, yeah.
Uh,
I'll let you go for that. Yeah.
so freedom of speech, Constitution, right? That and a lot of people get this confused for some reason. That only protects you from the government. You
Yeah.
you you can't. I mean, it just saves you from government censorship.
Yes.
So the government can't come in and censor you. Twitter, while it's a public company, still has policies, and if you violate those policies, they have every right to kick you off.
Yes. 100%. I'm sure you have. I've had this conversation 100 times with people where they're saying we're being denied free speech. It's like, no, you violated terms of service.
Yeah.
This is not a public asset.
Yeah.
When I say public, I mean government run. Because I have
Yeah.
heard, and this is a separate discussion, but to touch on it, when I've had this conversation with, let's just be honest, with hardcore right, the loud right,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard the argument, there should be the term is going to elude me, but there should be a public ran domain for that kind of thing, to where it is
Okay.
protected by free speech.
Like
That clause.
townhall.gov or something.
Something. And
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? That's an argument to be had,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not Twitter. Now you could argue that Twitter, Facebook, these entities should be, however you want to say it, publicly ran, protected
Mm-hmm.
by that amendment, which
Yeah.
it's the First Amendment, yeah. But it is the First Amendment, right?
It is the First Amendment that
Just in my head, I
guarantees
was like, I don't
free
want to say
speech.
fucking something wrong. So you can make an argument that platforms should be protected by that if they're, if you can make the argument that they're utilities, which I think internet, you could make an argument in this day and age that it should be considered a public utility, a public necessity.
Yeah.
But that's a different argument. But to argue your free speech is being taken away on Twitter is a fundamental misunderstanding of the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And it's not an argument to be had.
So yeah, to make that argument is to say that Twitter has a monopoly on your free speech. That's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally go start your own fucking blog. And that's what Donald Trump did. Although, he started this Truth Social, and it's such a clusterfuck that the guy only posted on it once, and in 11 weeks hasn't posted anything since because it is such a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's even said like, hey, if Elon Musk when somebody asked him, if Elon Musk wins Twitter and gets Twitter, are you going to join back Twitter if he allows you to? And Donald Trump, and take this with a fucking pillar of salt. Donald Trump said, "No, I'm going to stick to Truth Social. I'm not going back to Twitter."
Yeah.
Like fucking
And
bullshit.
you beat me to it. Anyone with half a fucking logical mind knows that is the most bullshit thing ever. As soon as his Twitter is unlocked, his ass is going to be on there.
Yeah.
No questions asked. But anyway, going
I
back
bet you.
to
I bet you his first tweet when he comes back is no collusion.
yeah, maybe. I just don't. So off topic, but like I am kind of against, even to a certain extent, banning some of those people, because like the example I give is did you ever watch the Plandemic video?
I didn't.
So I watched it because I'm curious about that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And without even going and fact checking it, a lot of the statements they made and the claims they were trying to make were clearly false and clearly bullshit and clearly conspiracy theorist nonsense. So, but then these platforms were starting to ban it. YouTube, Facebook were banning this video. And when you do that, and I said it kind of earlier, it emboldens people, because now it's not, the people aren't reacting by saying, "Oh, they banned it, there must be something wrong with it." They're thinking they banned it because they're afraid of the truth. They banned it because this person is speaking truth and they're trying to hide it. So it's almost the opposite effect, in my opinion. I don't have any proof of this, but it's, from what I've gathered, it's kind of the opposite effect, because now people are become more full of animosity because they think the government, the social platforms, are trying to hide the truth, and it makes them more angry. To where I actually liked where I think Facebook does it, where they just throw a tag on there with a fact check. I know a lot of people don't like that. I think it's fine. But by banning people, you're kind of doing the opposite, because now those people who follow them think that you're trying to shut them up. And so that's why I don't really care about Trump coming back on Twitter, because I just think nothing will happen. It's not going to have an effect, really, in my opinion.
Well, part of the problem, the reason why he got kicked off of Twitter was because it was having an effect. He was, spreading, untruths. I don't like saying untruths, but lies sounds, a little too malicious.
He was lying.
Okay.
You can say that, yeah.
He was spreading lies, and people buy into that shit. Whether or not you support him or not, he was the president of this country, and that title carries influence.
Yeah, and I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think, in my opinion, so I'm not defending fucking Trump at all. But when he got banned after January 6th, I think when they banned him, I agree with you. It was for a good reason, because his rhetoric caused violence.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to ban it to stop the rhetoric. And this is just all anecdotal. This is me speculating. In my opinion, the problem is when you did that, when they banned him, all the people who followed him and listened to him and believed him now created an enemy out of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're saying Twitter's the enemy. They banned our boy. Our boy was speaking truth. So instead of trying, and this is a problem across the landscape anyway of combating that shit, but by straight out banning him, it kind of enforced and strengthened the beliefs they already had.
Yeah.
And so that's why, like, I get it, and it's hard to argue, because, like, he did say the shit, and they did the shit, to put it simply. But at the same time, if you straight out ban someone, it does kind of, people kind of create a martyr out of them.
Yeah.
And it kind of can have an adverse effect, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But like I said, Twitter's still a fucking hellscape. If he comes back to it, people were still listening to his message anyway.
Yeah.
Like the loud left needs to calm the fuck down. Like, he still posts shit on his, what is it, like a message from the president on his website. His message still gets out from his son. He'll say, like, I forgot what it says. It was like, my dad, former president, says this today. So it's like, he's still fucking tweeting.
Yeah.
He's still tweeting.
He's got workarounds for sure.
So like, the people all fucking worried about that shit. Like, oh, he's gonna get back on there, Elon Musk. Like, he's still doing it. It's just not through Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, this is not. It's not the worst thing in the world. Now we can talk about. I am a capitalist. Everyone has the right to do with their money what they want to do with their money. But what a piece of shit. And I know there's Elon Musk fanboys out there that have been defending what he does. And granted, like I said, it's his money. He can do whatever the fuck he wants with his money. But like, dude, this is what you're gonna do with $44 billion.
I guarantee you, he's not going to change that much. He spent $44 billion to say people can come back that were banned. That's it. He's not like Twitter is pretty much optimized as much as Twitter can be optimized. There's not a whole lot he could do to make it better.
Yeah, and I was listening.
I don't care what ideas he has.
No, yeah, and I was just listening to somebody today who even said that like Twitter doesn't like make that much of a profit.
No,
it's not
because
like
the only way they can is by running ads, and that's how most social media is. They only make profit from ads, and Twitter doesn't generate that much ad revenue. So this was a weird financial decision for him to make.
It really, because like I'm not trying to sound like one of those people who were like, oh, world hunger, but like, dude, $44 billion.
Yeah,
billion.
Yeah, he could have had over 2 billion cases of root beer.
I saw that one. Yeah. But it does bug me, and I know, like I said, everyone has the right to do what they want with their money. So he has the right to do what he wants with his money. But it'd be nice to see a billionaire give a fuck.
Do something philanthropic with it.
Yeah, just
instead of buying a stupid social media platform.
Yeah, and I'm sure he donates. He like all them fucking they have their donations to make them look good.
They donate stuff, but
like,
I guarantee you he didn't donate $44 billion to anything because he just had that money laying around.
Yeah,
it's mind-boggling that he sees a problem with Twitter. So what does he do? He's like, well, I think I can fix that. I'm gonna buy it and fix it. Bro, that's like Bruce Wayne energy. And even then, like, you're not a fucking superhero.
I wouldn't even say that's Bruce Wayne energy, because I think Bruce Wayne would like actually donate to like buy something and do something good.
Bruce Wayne wouldn't. Batman would.
Oh, fine, semantics. But it blows my mind that like that's where you think about legacy. This man has the ability to change his legacy.
Yeah.
And so I remember he said something, it was on Twitter or some shit, where he's like, hey, UN, whoever, I'll give you $6 billion if you draft up a plan to solve world hunger. And they drafted a plan to solve world hunger.
Well, no, so like, it started with...
you might know, okay.
Yeah, I think it was the WHO or it was some health organization. And they're like, hey, we can end world hunger with $6 billion. Hashtag Elon Musk. And so Elon was like, hey, show me a plan and I'll give you that money. What did they do? They gave him the plan. And what did he do? Fuck all.
Yeah. And I've heard arguments against that I guess, according to some people, the plan wasn't good. So
it's a government plan, dude. What do you want?
Yeah, but so he was like, no, not going to do it. But it's... I can't believe I'm about to say this. It's only $6 billion for him.
Yeah. It's $6 billion to him. That's like selling off like 5 shares of his stock.
So that's where, like, say what you want about the guy, Bezos.
Yeah.
He, for the most part, keeps quiet. For the most part. I'm saying
compared to Elon, he's a fucking introvert.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So he does stuff, but like for the most part, he's not out there trying to clown himself.
Yeah.
Where Elon's out here smoking weed on Rogan, getting into Twitter battles, and then does this. It's like, man, you can do so much better.
I think he's like stuck in the fake it till you make it. He hasn't realized that he's made it. He hasn't stopped faking it. And so it's a lot of it comes off as just like fucking machismo, bravado, whatever you want to call it. And it's this whole, I got money that I can do whatever I want with. I'm going to buy Twitter. I'm going to go to space. Let's maybe put that money into solving some of the problems we have in real time and in reality. Like $44 billion buys a lot of food, it buys a lot of housing, it buys a lot of what have you, medicine for people that need it. It buys a lot. And he used it to fix an optimized social media platform.
So here's what I'm going to say about him too, and because you just made me think of something. So SpaceX, I'm actually 100% okay with that.
So am I.
He owns Tesla, fine. So this man wants to spend $44 billion on fucking Twitter. Can you imagine the big dick energy if when they said, whoever the organization was, okay, here's our plan for $6 billion. He looked at it and he said, this plan is trash. What I'm going to do is spend $30 billion on a better plan that actually solves world hunger and creates a new company with $30 billion and solves world hunger. Granted, I'm skipping a lot of steps, but
yeah.
The big dick energy where he gives the finger to a government organization and then does what they wanted to do way better in the private sector.
That's not saying much though, because every government organization is essentially gets the lowest bid.
Of course, my point is, if he, instead of just saying "fuck yourself," if he actually turned around and like did it, that would be big boner energy to me.
And no, he doesn't do that though. I mean, he said I can fix the energy crisis in California by giving me this much square footage in the California desert. Fine, fucking do it. Put up solar panels. He's like, maybe I won't do that.
And that's kind of my point, where you might be right. It's kind of like, because let's be honest, like he wasn't a poor kid. It's not like he came to be rich by himself. Like he inherited the shit. So I don't think he understands what he has. Maybe.
You know what I mean? Maybe. I mean, that could be, but I mean, dude, I'm sure he has financial advisors. I'm sure he's got people around him that can say, I mean, granted, they're getting paid by him, so they're probably just glad handing yes men.
That's what I was gonna say right there, yeah.
But like, so here's the thing. Here's like the biggest issue that I see in our society today. Nobody is willing to tell truth to power. Do you understand that phrase?
I do, but I want you to clarify.
So truth to power is, so say you're an advisor to the president. You are not afraid of that man as president, so you are going to give him the truth whether he likes it or not.
Okay.
All right. And more we're seeing politicians, especially people in the Trump administration. I would even say, to a certain extent, even people in the Biden administration.
Sure.
And people that surround these billionaires. They're only concerned with the meal ticket. They're only concerned with the praise, the rewards they get for saying, "You do what you want to do, man. It's a good idea." And nobody's willing to say, "Hang on a second. That I think we can do something better." Because the minute they say that, they realize I'm no longer his favorite.
Yeah. Not enough Ned Starks.
Yeah. There's not enough Ned Starks. We need more Ned Starks.
Yeah, and that, I mean, Musk aside, I think in the political atmosphere, people do that because I think most politicians don't know how to survive in the private sector.
True.
So they just need to keep their job.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. That goes across political, like Democrat, Republican. I think a lot of them just need to keep their job. So they just say and do what they need to say and do.
I mean, and like, obviously that's not really working out for, Trump's advisors. I mean,
well,
I can't name how many of them have gone to prison because of what they did or said or done or whatever.
Well, yeah, it's a whole topic, but that's just, to me, like I said, you could do anything you want with your money. It's disappointing to me that granted, Bill Gates at least has created foundations to research shit. I know the conspiracy theorists would be like, "Oh, well, he caused coronavirus," but like at least he seems to be trying to do something. And Granted, he probably could do more because I'm sure he still has billions of dollars.
What was I want to say like Walt Disney's daughter, who is up there in that upper echelon of rich people. She said, I want the government to tax me more. I want my money to do some good. I don't just want
Sure.
to, pay the minimum for my
Hoard it.
tax bracket. Yeah, I don't want to hoard my money. I want my money to go somewhere where it can do some good.
Yeah, and not, and even with, and this goes to another. I don't know how much Truth Social costs Trump to set up, but if
I want to say 11.
it had to be million, it could be billion.
I don't know. Let me look. I'll look it up real quick.
Okay.
But make your thought.
No, I was gonna say, so if Elon Musk was truly concerned about free speech, I feel like he would have been more effective to just create his own platform with all the Elon Musk fanboys and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to spend more money to buy Twitter, I feel like he's trying to flex when he doesn't need to flex. I don't know. It's just, it's a weird, maybe I'm not articulating it very well. You got a number yet?
I'm looking.
But yeah, I don't know. The whole thing, I don't give a shit, like I said, that he, well, I do. The concept of the left wing versus right wing yelling at each other about him buying it, I don't care about. What I care about is this money well spent? I guess is
Mm-hmm.
where my head lands. So yeah, that's my final thought. No number yet.
I'm still looking, man. It's hard to find this.
You don't have to.
No, I want to find it because it was significant. Like it was.
Point being, 11 million, 11 billion.
Yeah,
He could have.
it was.
Ow! Fuck! Hit my head. Like, sorry.
No, I mean it was something substantial. I want to say it was like $11 million to start.
That's fine. But my
Which I
point is,
guarantee, I
like,
guarantee you that money was not all Donald Trump's either.
sure. My point was, Elon Musk could have done his own thing for a
Mm-hmm.
cheaper rate, but instead, like, he's trying to flex, trying to show, like, look how big my dick is, to buy Twitter. And I'm repeating myself. The whole left wing, the loud left versus the loud right argument about this, I don't give two shits about.
Yeah, it just needs to stop.
I just think the waste of money is just disappointing to me.
Yeah, it's a huge waste because ultimately he's not going to change that much by buying it. And he's the minute he realizes that, he's going to make it public again. And he's going to be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to sell all these shares and make this public again.
Yeah, because I mean, even if he unbans everyone, even people who can objectively everyone agrees should be banned, it's not going to change anything. Like, no. It's still, even with banning Trump and some of these other people, like, it's still a fucking hellscape for people.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I just don't. The whole argument between the left and the right about it is irrelevant to me. I don't give a fuck. I just think the man could have spent his money better.
Yeah,
that's all. That's where my head is. But like I said, it's his money. He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the one problem with capitalists is that they're not going to spend money unless they can make a profit on it. And
Sure.
when you donate or when you put that money to a philanthropic effort, you're not going to see a return on that money. Monetarily, you're not going to see a monetary return on that money.
Yeah, of course, I understand. And that's what I guess he has said, or at least alluded to, that he's not doing this for monetary gain. He's doing it because he's a patriot, or he believes in free speech.
Which is hilarious because the dude isn't even from here.
That's why I kind of backtracked when I said patriot. Yeah. But he's a promoter of free speech. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, fine. Like
I
said, man can do what he wants. I just think it's fucking dumb.
And so I'm going to take it back to free speech for a second.
Okay.
Even if you do have the freedom of speech, that doesn't give you the right to go into a crowded movie theater and yell fire.
Well, and that's part of the amendment, though. I think you could get in trouble for that if you
can get in trouble for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have 100% free speech, even from the government. Like, if you go into a crowded theater and yell fire or rape or um, what have you, the situation doesn't back up your claim, you're going to be in some trouble.
No, yeah, no,
So,
absolutely.
so I mean, like, for people that go on to Twitter and think, "Oh, I'm safe. I can say whatever the fuck I want with no consequences." It's not true, and
Hmm.
the same is even true in real life.
And I mean, we could go down this rabbit hole because it's a whole nother. We're already at like an hour 5 right now. We could go down this
I
whole
will
other.
stay up all goddamn night, Mike.
But no, there's a whole nother discussion to be had, and we should bring Mitch on because I think we all have different. All three of us, even Eddie, we probably all have different views on it.
Yeah.
Is the limits of free speech? Because even you look at. God, okay. I'm gonna try to keep this short so we don't tangent off it. You look at 8chan and the origins of QAnon.
Hmm.
Now, if that website was regulated and kind of governed, the QAnon thing probably wouldn't have happened, or at least not grown as fast as it did. But then there now becomes the argument: well, they were just on there talking. They provided a free speech platform,
Hmm.
and that's all they were doing is providing a free speech platform. But the irresponsibility of the free speech caused all this nonsense, and now our society has fucking suffered because of it. I'll say that about QAnon. That's the whole thing is dumb.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's kind of like an argument of like, should there be complete free speech or should we limit it? But then again, it goes back to I'm kind of going all over the place right now. What actually constitutes free speech,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. I'm going my brain's scattered about it right now. But that's like I said, it's a whole other wormhole of if it could be proved, and this is actually a discussion I wanted to actually have with you and Mitch and Eddie when we all four of us get together again. If we could prove objectively that the government limiting free speech is actually better for the society, do we allow that to happen, or do we stand by everyone has freedom of speech and can say whatever they want?
Hmm.
I'm not taking a stance. It's just a discussion to be had.
I'm just asking questions.
It's just an argument. Like there's actually because I go back and forth in my brain.
Yeah.
Because we do live in a society. There are rules. I said that in the last episode too about grocery carts. Um, but so there's this argument to be made, like my freedoms, okay, but we are in a society. Every law that's passed is infringing on your freedom. I don't think everyone thinks
Hmm.
about it like that.
Yeah.
Every law passed is infringing on your freedom.
Yeah.
So it's just that line, where do we stop?
Yeah.
And
This
that
this is a big point. It's what's the line of delineation? Where did you yeah, where does the line stop? Where do
mhm,
we put the line that divides criminality and innocence? Where
mhm.
do we put that line? And ultimately it's up to society where that line is drawn.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what I was getting to is that includes the First Amendment argument of free speech.
Hmm.
Like you said, you can't go into a crowded theater and yell fire. But can you also then, this is an argument now, starting to claim that an election was stolen without evidence that stokes fires. Now, should that be allowed? You have a right to free speech, but I can make a case that that speech is causing people to become violent, indirectly or directly, and that's what I'm saying. It's a whole other wormhole of
So
arguments.
so my opinion about this goes immediately to like law and litigation, in that if you make a claim, you have to back it up. If you can't back it up, I have every right then to censor you, because
Okay.
you're making outlandish claims. And we saw this in the fucking 50s with McCarthy, man. He was making claims that he could not back up, and what happened? He was censured by the Senate, and he lost
Mm-hmm.
every ounce of political power he had. There was a time in the 50s where Joseph McCarthy was like the most feared senator and the most powerful senator in the Senate. And then he decided to go attack the US Army for being communist, which why would you do that? And then they were like, dude, you're full of shit. Sit down and shut up. And they
Yeah.
censored him.
Yeah,
And
and
they're doing
the
the same thing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's making outlandish claims and saying, you know, utter bullshit without any proof to back it up. And so what did they do? They excluded her from committees. They censored her. She's not allowed to join any committee in Congress.
yeah, I have a lot to say about that too. But we're going long anyway. We should have a future episode where if the four of us could all get together and discuss it, because I honestly think when it comes to, because this does lead to a bigger argument. We're kind of off of Elon Musk now, but it does lead to a bigger
Who?
argument. It leads to a bigger argument of not just the freedom of speech, but like freedom versus law,
Hmm.
um, versus our rights and all this shit. Like it does lead to a bigger discussion,
The
which
illusion of freedom.
that too. I
Hmm.
think one time off camera I was talking to Mitch, and I think I referred to it as the fetishization of freedom.
Mm. Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so no, but I think it's a discussion that we should have because I think honestly we all have almost opposing views on it. We all have different
yeah,
views, and I'd love to have that conversation with all of us present.
yeah. We should do that for
Um,
sure.
so
I'm game.
let's end it there because we went a little long. Um, and I haven't ate
Okay.
dinner.
No, neither have I.
Yeah, so there we
So,
go. I'm sure both of our ladies are irritated. All right. Anything else, Danny? Last word.
nope.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Ollie. Uh,
Let's go rain.
all right, guys. Thank you for listening this long. We'll see you next time.
Adios.